Yep. And then you'll be able to go through this from a history standpoint, and then we'll be able to integrate some of these key points into the internet to bring more validity to your profile, to get people to get the book. You know. Yeah.
You stay with the nice clothes though, man. I love that shirt, man. I want that money to come out that shirt though.
I know that's right. With James. Y'all
that was his mother. The woman, this one right here.
Let's get it cracking now, brother.
That was his mother.
Mary Anderson?
That's
Pete's mom?
Didn't they sing?
Yeah, we had a group called International Hookup on high records.
With my brown J Crew Entertainment. We got Jay from Hype Magazine, about to do an interview with the legendary living legend, Poo Man Anderson over here. NWCL, we got it off the top.
So you're right. Pleasure to meet everybody right now, man. Glad everybody's here. So we're gonna let Miss J go ahead and say what you got to say, Jay. Oh yeah. Let's get live.
So the pictures is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got a picture of me and him at 5 years old, sitting on the high records fence, just sitting out there in Memphis, Tennessee.
Wow.
That was the company that had Al Green and Peoples, O.V. Wright. You know, those the iconic stars. But
So we taping?
Oh yeah, we
live?
Yeah,
Okay.
we live.
Right.
Action.
Right. Let's go.
All right, so let's talk the birth of hip hop, Rappers Delight. I mean, this is a huge opportunity for me to even be sitting here with you right now. So tell me more about this book.
First of all, the book is a story of a certain portion of my life story. This was after I had gotten out of the service and had been around the world as an R&B star, because I sung jazz and hip hop. No, I sung jazz from the time I was 14 years old till I was 23 years old. I sung with such people as Dizzy Gillespie, Duke Ellington, Sonny Stitt, Jimmy Smith. These are iconics. I was billed as the child prodigy of bebop. I sung jazz like cabaret music. I used to listen to Sammy Davis Jr. I used to listen to Mel Torme. I used to listen to Johnny Mathis, Nancy Wilson. And I took those songs and did it my way and put it out. And what's your hand doing there? What's your hand doing there?
I was trying to do my
But
best.
don't do no best. Let me talk to this lady.
I don't want nobody to interrupt.
Well, that's okay. Let me talk to this
I'm
lady.
sorry.
That's my Lord, man. He's
I try to
he's
be
a
as
realist, man.
conspicuous as I could.
And G. Levis is a realist,
Yeah.
man. That's why I love him so much, man.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the point at hand. I'm easily distracted because I have to think so hard. I'm so old. I have to think so hard to try to get it chronologically and get the truth out of me.
Right.
You know, because the truth is what counts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can make up the world's greatest story, but it's hard to find the truth. But when you find the truth, it lasts forever.
Absolutely.
So I'm just taking this opportunity to let whatever materializes from this interview last forever.
So we were talking about Duke Ellington and a couple of others.
Yes. Now what the deal was that I sang jazz until I went to the army. I went to Vietnam. I was in the Vietnam War.
Wow.
And I graduated from high school. I was in Chicago doing bebop music with Eddie Harris and Sonny Stitt. And I got a letter saying that my cousin Carol told me, say, we got a letter. I was staying with my aunt in the Dearborn Homes projects. And we was all singing and cutting records. Major Lance had a new record out called Monkey Time. And everybody was trying to get around that type of environment. And I still was singing jazz. So I was at a rehearsal and I saw a magazine that says McKee's Fish U on 63rd and Cottage Street is having a talent show.
Right.
So I said, I'm gonna go down there and win this talent show. So I sneaked out. The show didn't start till midnight. My mom.
Snuck out. How old were you?
Yeah. My mom told me I gotta be home by 11 o'clock, and the show didn't start till midnight.
Oh my God.
So
How old was you then?
I was about 17, 18,
Okay.
and I was still in high school. We was just on summer vacation, and I went down there and I won the talent show, and they named me. I was singing under the name of Eugene Anderson, and this guy by the name of Wilbur Perkins was the MC, and he said, ladies and gentlemen, we got a young guy here that says that he's a jazz singer. How about a round of applause for Gene Anderson? I got on stage, I said, wait a minute, my name ain't no Gene Anderson. I was brassy.
No.
Oh my God. I said, my name ain't no Gene Anderson. My name is Eugene Anderson. He said, Gene Anderson. I said, Eugene Anderson. He said, Gene Anderson. And some old drunk at the end of the bar say, I don't care what your name is, you better sing or we're going to get your ass from down there. So that's how I got the name Gene Anderson.
Okay.
So I went down there, I won the talent show, and I got a chance to sing with Les McCann.
What song did you sing?
I sung Green Dolphin Street and On the Street Where You Live, and I sung Funny Valentine.
Okay.
I still sing those songs today.
Let me hear a little bit of Funny Valentine.
My funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with your heart.
No auto-tune now.
Your lips are lovable, unphotographable. And yeah, you're my favorite work of art. Is your figure less than green? I can sing it.
Yes, you can.
The raspiness in your voice, it takes you back because that's how you guys sound.
Well, I sung the raspiness in my voice.
I love it.
It's been raspy ever since I had a voice. When I was a kid, I was raspy.
Yeah, and it has so much. It got so much beautiful melody to it. It's like it just makes that sound so much.
Let me get back to the story. I got auditioning already.
Let me hear a little bit of that.
But anyway, I won the talent show. So I go home that night, and I get a call. My cousin said, you got a letter that you need to check this letter. I read the letter, and it says, greetings. You are now inducted into the United States Army. I done got drafted. I couldn't believe I done got drafted. I ain't been out of school. I ain't been out of school 90 days.
And back then you couldn't say no.
Oh no, they took Muhammad Ali to jail.
Right there.
That was during the time. That was during the time.
Remember that.
And so I went to the Army and I got to the 3rd Army Showmobile. You know, I got out of regular Army and got to Special Service.
Right.
And from the Special Service I started singing in the Army. And before you knew it, I was doing a gang of other stuff in the service. And I met a guy named Sam Gary.
Okay.
And Sam Gary had a hit record called Fly Me to the Moon and Let Me Play Among the Stars. Tell him, Sam. You know, it was a duet. It was called Sam and Bill. And so Bill Johnson quit and left Sam by himself. Sam got me because I had cut some records in the Army, and he went and got me to do the Bill Johnson.
Right.
And so in doing the Bill Johnson, we went out on the road after I got out the Army, and we did a tour with the Temptations, Junior Walker, Mitty Collier, the Miracles, the Capitals, and some more artists. We did a tour. So I started doing the R&B.
Right.
I stopped singing jazz. I started doing the R&B, and that's the first time I'd ever seen girls scream and carry on at me and try to get to me. I'd never experienced groupies, more or less, or fans to that capacity. Next thing I know, we did a few things, then the act finally broke up after a few years. I went back home and I met a young lady and fell in love with her right away and married her and had him.
Okay. So tell me about this young lady.
Her name was Mary. Her name was, and she was a dancer in a show called Subtlemeyer. Had a show, and she was the star dancer in the show. And I knocked her off and got her pregnant. Those were the mob. They wanted to kill me for pulling their star, because she was a star.
Right.
They wanted to kill me for pulling her and then got her pregnant and then married her and got a son coming.
Right.
So they want to do me.
Right.
So somehow I was able to get away from that, and we lived a little life. I got her and my cousin. I still had that want to sing bug in me.
Is that all in this? Is that all in the book?
No, that ain't in the book.
Oh, okay.
We out the book.
We'll
No, he's going deep.
I'm taking you to the book.
Oh, okay.
I'm taking to, because you got to have a life before you can write the book.
That's facts.
So anyway, she and my cousin got together, and we came up with the group. Cause I knew I had to sing no matter what. I had to, cause it was in my blood. I've been doing it since I was 8 years old. So we started a group. I wrote some songs, and a guy by the name of Bernie Hayes introduced me to Willie Mitchell. And Willie Mitchell, I cut some records, and I had a hit record that Alvin Cash took me to Detroit. He took me to Detroit, and he hooked me up with a guy by the name of Amma Miladium, who owned a company called Westbound Records, who had Denise LaSalle, he had the Detroit Emeralds, he had
Ohio players.
he had the Ohio Players, he had George Clinton, the Parliament Funkadelic.
Right.
And I signed with the company. And me and George Clinton, that's when me and George Clinton hooked up. I think that was in 68, 69.
Wow.
I wasn't even born
That's
yet.
when me and George Clinton became friends in that office that day. And we've been friends ever since then. So anyway, we went along, and the contract didn't work out too good. So I left the company and I went with Willie Mitchell. Willie Mitchell said, I did some television. And on television, they saw me on TV, and I was walking down the street one day on a street called Natural Bridge in St. Louis. And my cousin Marvin Lewis, now I'm getting to the book, my cousin Marvin Lewis ran out the storefront and said, hey, I want you to say, man, you walking in front of the camera, you just a terminator today.
She told me to take her out.
Yeah, we
But
gonna
I'm still saying,
take a little
Don't
break.
you talk.
She gonna talk. She just having a good time.
Yeah.
let her do her thing. You did worse than she did.
I was
You ran in front of both cameras.
Cause you doing all this other time.
Hey, you
told
know
me
what,
to take
man?
her
This
out.
is what this
Yeah.
is
Cut
when
that
people
part,
is
so
not
I
acting
forgot
out.
about that.
No, it's okay, man. It's just when people not acting out on stuff.
It's
We
your
being who we are.
library.
You know, we being who we are. We
I don't
having
know
a
how.
great.
90. Stop talking.
Yeah, we having a
Please,
great
don't say
conversation
nothing.
here,
For
so-
Daddy, can you do that?
Say, listen, leave her alone. That would work better than y'all keep on mum-fuzzling her. Leave my baby alone. That would work better for me. Because she makes me remember how Pete used to act.
This is
Listen,
great.
she makes,
Can she come on up?
I'm
she
sorry,
makes,
y'all.
listen, she makes me remember how he used to act.
Nah.
He was a mess.
What
Wait till I start taking.
I've been out with this guy.
Let me tell you something.
I've been out with this
When
guy.
I
He's
get
so
ready to
serious.
tell you about Pete, he did it on national TV.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yes, he did. And my biggest show that I ever did when I first got started, he walked out on the stage and walked away from the babysitter, and I had to pick him up in my arms and sing the whole show. The people that paid me $12,000 to sing the whole show with him in my arms. He went to college with me, to Memphis State University, at 8 years old.
So he was daddy's boy.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is
Oh, yeah.
baby.
So listen, don't even go there with that little sweet little baby there.
That's right.
Let her do whatever she want to do. She can't be half as bad as he done been.
Okay. All right.
He just only got straight since he got grown.
Come on, man. Let's keep it real, man. Let's be realistic, man. That's real.
All right.
That's real.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
y'all, but there goes my baby over there. That's where
Yeah,
I'm focusing.
yeah, that's
She's
a little aged
with
too.
pops and
Yeah.
godfather. So
that's okay. Leave her
Why we,
alone.
so we're always talking about you. So how do you come into the fold?
He comes way late.
Way late.
Let me
yeah, I
get you.
just
Let me
got
get
here.
you down the
You
road.
just said
Let me get you down the road.
Okay. He's like
Just
way
got
late.
here.
There's just so much going on. It's kind of hard to stay focused with all this activity.
So we were talking about his mom.
We cut a record
Mm-hmm.
called Mixed Emotions. We went down. No, I went down. I met Sonny Liston, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
I went down to Memphis to audition for Willie Mitchell,
Right.
who was the owner of High Records.
Okay. What city
Which-
was you in?
Huh?
What city was you
That
in?
was in Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
And Willie wanted me to go down in Greenville, Mississippi to pick up an artist with him that he said, the boy can't sing, but I can teach him how to sing. I want you to go down there with me. I said, no, I'm finna go back with Sonny Liston, the prize fighter.
Right.
And I didn't go. And the artist turned out to be Al Green.
Mm.
can't sing. Huh?
He said he couldn't sing, but I can teach him how to sing. And he taught him how to sing. He taught him how to sing. So anyway, we cut some records. And we cut a hit record called Mixed Emotion. Big record. The record was so big, it changed my entire life. And the next thing I knew, I was a R&B soul singing star.
Wow.
I never experienced this except with Sam, but I was a generic, more to say, because I took somebody's place. But this time I was on my own. It was Gene Anderson and an international hookup.
The Sam you talking about is Cook.
No,
Not Sam Cooke.
no. See, there you go again.
I was just wondering. I don't know who Sam is.
Well, I said Sam was a group leader of Sam and Bill.
Okay.
And Sam and Bill had a record called Fly Me to the Moon.
Oh.
And I sung some of it, you recall?
Mhm.
All right then. This is my man. Believe that. Believe that. That's
Right,
my
right,
man.
right.
That's why I come on here so hard, because he is my man.
Hey.
Believe that. Anyway,
Big man.
we leave. I after time went by, I left High Records,
Okay.
and I went back home. And me and my wife couldn't make it, so we went to court. We had a divorce, and I got custody of my son. He was 5 years old, and like it was hard. It was hard. So I left him, went back down to Memphis, to try to get something started again. Cause I'm an entertainer. I don't know nothing else. I ain't singing. I ain't got no hammer in my hand. I ain't as Sears and Roebuck. I'm singing.
Right.
for a living. This is back in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And back, I think it was 68, 69. And we went to Memphis. My grandmother sent them to me in Memphis, Tennessee. And there I was in Memphis, Tennessee, doing all kind of things to stay alive, and got a kid now.
Right.
Nobody but him and me.
So you was a single father in the 60s, which is wow.
Yeah, that was my boy. I wanted him. So we did it all together. We stayed down there about 2-3 years, and then all of a sudden, we was riding down the street, and the car stopped in the middle of the street, and it was a bunch of cars behind us and motorcycles and stuff, and they was blowing beep, beep, beep. My car done stopped in the middle of the street. Come to find out, it was Elvis Presley's dead ass.
Wow.
It was his funeral procession.
You done stopped Elvis.
I done stopped Elvis
Damn,
Presley's funeral. Let me tell the story, man.
I'm just messing with you.
Don't be messing with me. Please.
Hey, I
This
know
is
you
my
good.
man, though.
Yeah,
That's why he do that.
I mean, hey, man.
Yeah, that's why he do that.
I got brothers like
And
that.
anyway, Elvis Presley's funeral procession got stopped with us, with my car, to stop and to shut down Elvis Presley. They take them to the cemetery.
Wow.
Pete, tell them what happened.
Well,
I heard it all.
our car stopped. Funeral procession was right behind us. They kept blowing and stuff and everything, you know. They came and they pushed our car off the road.
No, some big old white boys, about 12 of them, grabbed the car, picked the car up on the sidewalk, and put it on the curb. Pete said,
What happened?
Asked me to let me get to the car. You know.
Well, you is the
You
first
did
born
that
son. I know you want to give up. Go ahead,
Son.
man. Go ahead.
I have
Tell me.
one.
It's already told now.
Yeah.
But no, when he picked, so it was like 12 big guys. They just
I
came
told
over
him,
there
I
and picked
said,
the car.
Pop, no, I said, Daddy, they taking our car.
Was y'all in the car?
no, we was sitting on the hood of the car. He said, Daddy, they're taking our car.
Then what happened, man?
So, final analysis is when we were sitting on the car, we actually didn't even know who funeral it was, but then it popped in his head when he seen people and stuff. You know, wait a minute, this is Elvis' funeral.
Wow.
Cause that, yeah, you know.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
So anyway, they picked the car up and put the car on the curb. And Pete said, Daddy, they're taking our car. I said, shut up and let them have it.
What was it like? What was
So-
it like back then, man? 'Cause like,
Well, the Ku Klux Klan was running everything
man,
back then. So I just got fed up with Memphis behind that incident. It was so frightening to me because I got my kid with me and the Ku Klux Klan is telling me, you better move that car. Whose car is this? Oh, I mean the police, everybody. It was a ruckus out there about this car that stopped Elvis Presley's funeral. This is big.
Right.
This was even on the news.
Right.
That somebody's car had stopped and shut off Elvis Presley's funeral.
man, the world didn't know then, but I guarantee they know now. That was y'all this whole time.
Yeah.
And,
So anyway, I decided, I said, well, Pete, we going back home to St. Louis.
Right.
We get in the car later on, about a month or 2 or 3 weeks later, and go back to St. Louis. Now I'm staying with my mama. Me, Pete, my nephew, my sister, we all done piled up on my mama. I would have put us all out if that been me today. But I had to go along with my mom. I get a letter in the mail saying that you have our condolences that to my mom.
Right.
You have our condolences that your son was murdered in Vietnam. Wait a minute, I ain't murdered in Vietnam. I ain't murdered in Vietnam. They sent me.
Who do they got?
They sent me a check for $2,500 and 2 medals, a Bronze Star, Oak Leaf Cluster, and some other kind of medal. I'm saying, wait a minute, I ain't dead. I got these medals.
Right.
They took the 20. I called the federal government back up and told them that I didn't earn these medals. It was a guy that lived in the same house that we was living in.
Right.
A white boy who had gotten murdered in Vietnam, and said that he had the exact same name I had, Oliver Eugene Anderson.
Wow.
And he had got killed in Vietnam, and the medals belong to him. I called him back to tell him that this ain't the medals. I gave the medals back. I'm going down the Stacks. I just cut a record called I'll Follow You. I'm going down the Stacks record, and I look into the box, where they carry the newspapers and stuff in front of the hotel, and I'm on the front page of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch newspaper. Hero, non-hero, got a medal, got 2 major medals from the United States Army for being murdered in Vietnam.
Wow.
I didn't get a check back.
I was just about to ask you.
I didn't get a check back. I kept the money because we needed the money.
They had your face on that. They had your face on.
They had me holding the 2 medals up here on the front page of the biggest newspaper.
How would they say you were dead if you were holding the medal?
Listen. I know. I'm saying they said that I was dead. They said hero, but non-hero. That was the caption.
Yeah, they gave him glory and took it right back. They took it right back.
No, I gave them the medals back because I didn't want to keep the medals. But I was not going to give them the money back because me and my mom and my son, we needed that money.
Man.
Right.
So anyway, I went to downtown in Record Road. They used to have a place called Record Road. And the Record Road was where all of the records that came out of St. Louis, Chicago, and Kansas City, and Memphis had to go through there. They had the major distributors.
Okay.
I had known those guys from a youngster trying to cut records, and I went down there to see a friend of mine by the name of Skip Gorman. He's a Jewish guy. And they played gin rummy down there. All the old Jewish guys was in the back room playing gin rummy. And I was one of the few blacks that they would let back there in the back room because I knew them as a kid.
Interesting. I read that in your book.
Yeah, that was a book. So now we talk about the book.
Oh, man, the book.
We get down there and Mr. Skip Gorman
So much
introduced me to a guy by the name of Hal Goldman. He had created something called a record rack, which a record rack is something that you can go in Targets, Sears and Roebuck, any Walgreens where they got CDs in a rack that you spin the rack.
Mm-hmm.
He invented that.
Okay.
Him and his brother back in the 60s and 50s. He invented that when they started doing CDs.
Mm-hmm.
He sold the company to a major
Wait a minute, when
distributor.
they started doing CDs. They started doing CDs in the 50s?
No, this is in the 60s.
In the 60s.
No, this was in the 60s.
No, you say
This is Pete was born. Pete was
They started doing CDs back then?
yeah.
8-track CDs?
They was doing CDs, but they were still on 45s.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha.
They were still on 45s.
Okay.
And he sold the company, and he couldn't get back into the record business for 10 years. He sold the company for $3-4 million, something like that. He asked me, say, son, what did you want to do? I said, I'd like to promote records and to make some stars and do some promotions. A week later, he called me up, Skip called me up and said, Mr. Goldman want to talk to you. He said, come down here, down the record road. I went down there. He said, I opened this office next door to Pat Blunder's One Stop, Record One Stop. And I want to help you get started. He just loved me right off the bat. When we said hello, that old Jewish man just loved me just like that. He said, I want to get you started.
So before you get away from that, for our time, how big was the music industry? How
The
big
music industry was huge because disco was king.
Okay.
They had KC and the Sunshine Band, Donna Summers, all those groups were just getting started. It was disco, word disco was just getting out.
Right.
And so he said that you can promote the records. So I started getting records in. I got Luther Vandross, I got Donna Summers, I got KC and the Sunshine Band.
Was you with Slick Rick and
All of them. No, it wasn't no Slick Rick.
not
wasn't-
Slick
yeah,
Rick,
that-
no,
Rick
I'm
James.
talking about Rick James.
Yeah, Rick James.
Kingdom of
Yeah,
Records.
Rick James. Rick James
excuse me,
wrote it.
Slick Rick.
Okay.
But basically, it was, Parliament was big.
Right.
Parliament was big. But basically, it was disco.
Right.
Staying Alive and all those records, the Doobie Brothers and all that, they was happening. And so we was promoting them records, but we had a few black records. And I would we had an Italian guy by the name of Tony, rest in peace. He handled all of the disco clubs.
Okay.
And the record companies used to send us 50 promotion copies to promote the record, and we distribute the record and get the record started. Pete riding right with me, he riding shotgun right with me every day.
You seeing everything.
Yeah, him. So I went and got a crew of guys that I knew that was small time disc jockeys and stuff, and used to get them to go to hang out with me and to promote my records. I did so well that I get a phone call from a guy by the name, the company gets a call from a guy by the name of Joe Robinson.
Okay.
Joe Robinson, he the owner and the inventor of Sugar Hill Records. They say, listen man, we hear that you can promote a record. We got a record here that no matter what, we can't get nobody to play it, nowhere. We want to send it to you and see what you can do. I said, send it to me. He sent it on an airplane. 24 hours later, I get the record. And I put the record on the record player. It weighed a ton. It was a steel record. It was plastic. Anyway, he said, I want you to listen to this record. I listened to the record, and it started off sounding like Chic. I said, Chic, you listen to this record, it's already a hit record. And come to find out, it was the Rapper's Delight. Nobody had never heard it nowhere on this world.
Right.
Because the record was 15 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
And no radio station wanted to play no record that was 15 minutes long.
I read a lot in there, man. This book is interesting because it brings so much detail. But I'm gonna let you see what you're saying. But everything is here. It's amazing, man. What I read in here, the history, how y'all related to this upbringing of Rappers Delight. Man, you guys, man, did things that this era just don't know that they're living off of today.
Well, in how it really happened was that I got this record. I got it in my car and took it to Jim Gates on WESL radio.
So before you say you got the record, what was your experience listening to the record for the first time?
Oh, he finna break it down.
The record it was happening. It was, I thought it was Chic. Cause of that's to start off, but they started to the hip hop. I thought that Jim Gates, Jockenstein, and them other disc jockeys We used to rap over the microphone in the clubs
Right.
on the records. I thought they had sneaked off to New York and then cut a record without me. I'm upset that they didn't win and cut a record without me.
Right.
And they said, no, that ain't us.
Right.
These are some more boys from out of New Jersey. I got the record played. The record, they played the record during the school was letting out at 3:30 in the evening. The radio station was across the street from the schoolhouse. And they had a speaker on the outside of the radio station that they could hear the music that was being played on the radio when the kids come out of school. And they played the Rapper's Delight. It was 15 minutes long. They backed it up and played it twice.
Wow.
So when the kids coming out of school, they came over in the parking lot of the radio station and started dancing in the parking lot. They must have played the record 3 times. That's 45 minutes. They played the record.
Hold that thought. We got to get you fresh. Thank you. Right here.
Give me
Get you right here. No, we got you fresh.
the
I got you. Okay, go ahead. I make sure you're fresh.
Hey, I love it like that. That's better than him walking in front of the camera.
Look, man, this dude came in here. He already fresh and so clean.
Stay clean.
Man, look, man, if ice can cut, man, we was all cut already.
Don't worry about it. That's
I got
all.
cotton in my beard. Y'all let me do this without cotton in
Cause
my
he
beard.
cold with it.
Let me get to the point of the record.
Okay, yes, sir.
So the record, Joe Robinson called up and said, man, send me $2,000, $5,000 to get the first pressing of the Rapper's Delight.
Wow.
He didn't have the money to press the record. And so I said, Joe, I ain't got about $400, $500 in the bank. I throw that in. Mr. Goldman gave him $1,000. Skip Gorman gave him $1,000. We put all the money together, sent him. He sent us back 5,000 copies of the Rapper's Delight. It was on a red label now, with block right representing the rap. They didn't have no name for the group. They didn't have no name for the group. They named the group on those records the Sugar Hill Gang on Sugar Hill Records. Next thing I knew, we sold out in less than a day. 5,000 copies of less than a day. People was coming and getting the record and putting them in the trunk of their car. That's where they got the statement saying, selling records out the trunk of your car.
Right.
They got that from that. They was selling records out the trunk of their car. So we bought 10,000 more records. Next thing I know, we just sold out of them. The record, I'd never seen nothing like that before. I ain't never seen it.
Was it off that one song?
That one song.
What was that song?
The Rapper's Delight.
Hip hop.
Hip hop, yeah.
That's the birth of the hip hop, right?
Yeah,
that comes into the anniversary. 50
that comes to
years
the
ago
50th year anniversary.
that we
That would
living
be the
right
first-
now.
The very first commercial,
Right.
first rap record,
Right.
national commercial rap record. Then the next thing you know, he say, I got another group that we just signed. I'm gonna send it to you. I said, send it on, and it was Sequence.
Right.
They had a record called I'm Gonna Funk You Right On Up. I'm Gonna Funk You Right On Up.
Come on.
So I got
Get
a
up,
question.
get up, get up, get up, get up, sit down, boom.
Actually, there was a spin-off from that group,
Okay.
a girl group.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a question. Who named it rap?
Rap music was the first, that's the only way they could describe it. Called it rap music. Hip hop come later.
About something.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, where did the word rap come from?
The rap came from Joe Robinson.
Okay.
Joe Robinson said, we calling it rap music
Good, that was very
because that's what they was rapping. They was
That's been talking, you know, so
they-
they wasn't singing.
Let me
so
rap
they
at you.
yeah, the rap.
Let me rap with you one second.
they was talking
Hip
about.
talk.
They was talking about.
always something to talk.
They was talking about. They was using all of the hit records, dubbing out the lead voices, and recording over the popular tracks.
Okay.
They did the Isley Brothers. They did a bunch of different groups, they did that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyway, he distracted me. I'm easy to get thrown off because I'm trying to think.
I mean, the
I'm
grandson.
trying to get it right.
Right.
Anyway, they did that. Then they came with another group. They said we got another group. After Sequence took off, was Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Yeah,
Wow.
we know about them.
I broke them. I got them started with a record called, I think it was Happy Birthday.
That's his story.
Was their first record, and then they did a bunch of hit records.
The message.
The message was years later.
Later.
Was years later, and then they sent me a record about the Funky 4+1, wasn't it?
Bucket 4 plus one more. Then they did the Crash Crew, and what was the other? The Treacherous 3, and among others, I can't.
I got another call from another company. They say we got a record called Like That, and that's the way it is. We got that record. I broke it. Then I go to Jack the Rapper.
That's Run DMC.
I go down to Jack the Rapper, and Jack the Rapper I'm taking the records down there to promote them on a national level.
Absolutely.
Jack the Rapper, I runs into my old friend George Clinton. George Clinton got a suite. He's playing he heard the record, The Message. It freaked him out. He said, man, give me that record. I gave him a copy. I had a box, 25 of them. He said, I ain't gonna play number 2 records in my suite the whole week, all day long. And that was The Message by Grandmaster Flash. No, it was by Melly Mel because Flash had left the company.
Right.
And Atomic Dog. He didn't play nothing but them 2 records. They were playing them on cassette.
Right.
Cause cassette was king then, a little bit of small cassettes and boom boxes and stuff. I stole the record from George when the convention was over and put a guy named Ramon helped me steal. He was George's main man. Steal the record out because he knew I could do something with it. I took the record to East St. Louis and we got the record played, Atomic Dog, and we broke that record. Capitol Record didn't want the record to break. They were trying to hold George down.
Right.
And George was doing on a Renegade promotion. And I took that record, Atomic Dog, and broke that record. Before you know it, Capitol Record was raising hell. Who broke this record? Gene Anderson broke that record. Then I went to a suite, Warner Brothers suite. A guy by the name of Donnie Brooks was running the suite. He was the promotion man. And he said, man, I got a record here. No, he got a guy by the name of Walk Baby Love, white boy. He was the bag man.
Right.
He paid off the disc jockeys with the payola, and he gave him cocaine.
Wow.
That was the game. If you didn't play the game, you didn't play.
That's right.
So he gave that to him, and I said, man, let me see what you got in your bag. We used to have satchels with 12 inches in them and stuff, you know. And I said, what you got in your bag? He said, I got this record here, but I don't like it, so I ain't gonna do nothing with it. I said, what is it, man? I looked at the record. I said, I know them boys. I met them in Sugar Hill with Joey Robinson. They got a good record, man. He say, well, I ain't gonna promote it. I said, give me a copy. And I went to Donnie Brooks. I said, Donnie Brooks, I said, listen, play this record for me, man. These boys are friends of mine. Donnie said, man, you know I'm working for Warner Brothers. I can't just play anybody's records. This was on Tommy Boy Records, Tom Silverman.
Yeah.
And I said, well, man, I said, play it for me. I said, I tell you what, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Threw the whole thing.
I hit him, whoop, whoop, whoop. Gave him $20 bill, whoop. I said, hey, man, come on, play it a little bit for me. He played it, and the record was Planet Rock.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's Joe.
Hey, man,
He showed it right up in there too.
Hey, listen, man. This brother here is so raw and so clean, and he's a realist to me, man. I just love everything he says. His ways, man, is his ways, and it's beneficial for a lot of people. 'Cause a lot of people are faking who they are.
And it also
This brother is
from our
who we
era,
are.
we've been talking a lot about culture shifts.
Right.
And they've been talking about drugs, girls, this and that. And I'm like, really? It already was happening.
Man, that stuff, listen, it happened just like I told you. It's in the book just like I told you. And it happened just like I told you.
The
Cause
book is amazing.
people wasn't trying to hear that hip hop stuff. Cause I had a guy by the name of he was
Let's see. Is he in here?
yeah, his name is I can't think of his name right now. But he was the program director of KTZ Radio.
Oh, you talking about Jim Gates?
No, he was
Oh, no, that's
he said why don't he said I ain't gonna play no more rap records. I'm not gonna play rap records no more. I said, well, listen, man, rap records is all I got.
Right.
And I gotta feed my kids. He ain't number 8 years old, and you think I'm letting my kid, talk about him, starve to death because you don't want to play rap records? I said, that's bullshit. And I went and pulled my pistol out and laid it on the table. I put my pistol out and laid it on the table. I said, you gonna play my record, man? He said, well, okay, I'll play they used to have the rap side and the music side to 12 inches back in the day. He said, I'll play. I said, well, it's water in. He said, I'll play the music side. I said, no, you won't. You're gonna play one side, you're gonna play the rap side. It's a half a war. And I pulled my gun on him. He said, wait a minute, man. He said, that's okay. He said, I'll play the record. I'll play the record. He played the record. The record got to be humongous. He called Joe up and said, man, why you sitting that crazy young motherfucker down there to threaten me with a gun about this record? It's in the book.
Sound like Suge Knight took your tactics. Suge Knight learned from you.
Listen, so anyway, I said, he said, Joe said, whatever he told you,
Right.
he meant it. He played the record. I think the record was Breakdance and Liquid Boogie by the what's the boy's name? Ferrari.
Okay.
And then I left there. That's when my reputation blew up. It blew up international. That everybody was calling me. I get a call from a guy from Mercury Records. No, from Brunswick Records. Said, listen, man, we got a record that we can't get played nowhere. Say, we heard that you can get it done. We'll send you $1,000 and give you a gold record on it if you break it. That was skate, bounce, rock, roll. Skate, bounce. I broke that Bob Mason and crew. I broke that record.
So can I ask you a question? How did you break records back then?
We take them to the radio stations.
Okay.
And we take them to the clubs. We take them to the stores. We take them to the schoolhouses. We take them to the dance halls. We take them in the streets. We
Oh, so
promote
that's
them.
the language of that's what you mean when you say breaking.
That's what breaking record. That's what you had to do back then.
I just want them. I want them to relate to now.
They didn't have no such thing
A
as
street
the
distributor.
internet. They didn't have no such
To the
thing
music.
as the internet.
That's why I
So
want
wherever
you
they
to
can
say
play
that.
music at, you bring it to in
Yeah.
front of that platform.
Pete used
That's
to
how
be
you
right
break-
with me.
that's how you
Pete,
break
we went to
records back then,
I told them to stop paying me in money,
Right.
pay me in records,
Mm.
because I could get more money out of the records than I could get out of the money that they paid me. We went to Chicago once. Me and Pete went to Chicago once and went to a record shop. I had a trunk full of records in it. We was riding, so we sold the records to them. We had so much money that we couldn't put it in the glove compartment.
Mm.
Pete say, Daddy, I said, put the money in the glove compartment. We riding down, I got a convertible. We riding down the highway. We rolling.
What do you say to him? Would you remember that day?
I remember that day.
What
So
was it
much
like
money
for you?
couldn't even put it in the glove compartment.
What about like hundreds and twenties? What time?
We had hundreds
It
and
was a shot.
fifties.
It was a shot. It was shot. You get what I'm saying?
How would y'all feel during that time with that much money?
Listen, we had so much money. I said, stuff it in. Whatever you do, just stuff it in the glove compartment. Wasn't no put it in your money, in your pocketbook. You can forget about that. It wasn't no.
No, it wouldn't happen.
It was, man, we had stack of money like that we had to took from the record shops.
So during that time, so we can give people an idea of how much money there really was, how much was rent during that time?
Right.
Rent, I don't know how they pay no rent.
How much was gas?
Gas was 58 cents a gallon.
So if you had all that money, hundreds and fifties, and gas was 50, you was a wealthy man.
Very well.
Oh, I've been wealthy 15 times. I done run through $1.5 million. I'm broke again.
Man, you look, hey, you still look, hey, you not broke, man. You're looking good.
Don't
man.
you believe that?
He kicked you. He tell you to 100.
You would have to look at things like, okay, during that time, you know, the economy wasn't like it is today. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know, you could get a lot more for your dollar than you could then.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
How old are you? You know,
I'm 55.
Yeah, you gonna roll the road, man.
Man, Pete
Road, brother.
Pete went everywhere with me that I went.
Man, and let me get this straight. He an entertainer too in the music.
Yeah.
Man, I seen this man do go to work, man. I know he can get down and he can dance too, man. This man a real sharp. You ever seen him dance?
No, but we gon' you know, I'm quick to ask somebody to do something.
Like
so.
what?
I'm doing it.
I ain't gonna put
I
him
have
on
my
my
in the corner
I ain't
break dancing.
gonna
Don't
put
do
him
it.
on,
Don't do it.
Well, man, it runs in the family.
Now, speaking of
It
breakdancing,
runs in the family.
speaking of breakdancing, I went down in Gulfport, Mississippi,
Okay.
and I saw a dude by the name of Shabba-Doo. Shabba-Doo. He the one that invented the breakdancing.
Wow.
He went to New York, but that time he was in Gulfport, Mississippi. A guy by the name of Tommy T took me down there. I had a hit record that they was playing down there, and I was the special guest and stuff. Never forget, I had on a yellow suit. We was on the back of a flatbed truck, and I was introducing the kids, and they was coming up and touching me. When I left, the suit was black with handprints.
Oh man.
A dude walked up to me and said, listen, we got a new dance. We want to see you. We want you to see Mr. Anderson. I said, okay, what is it? He says, it's called breakdancing. He said, my name is Shabba-Doo. They got down there and started spinning on their head and spinning on the ground and spinning on their feet and turning flips and stuff. I said, man, I never seen that like before. Next thing I knew, he moved to New York. And they started doing that break dance on the street. I told Joey Robinson, who's dead now, Joey, who was Joe and Sylvia Robinson's oldest son. He helped find the Sugar Hill Gang. They was his go to school friends. He had a group called Ferrari and the West Street Mob.
Okay.
And they came out with a record called Breakdance Electric Boogie. I told him, I said, man, cut this record. He went and cut the records and brought it to me, and I broke it. That's the one I put a pistol on the boy about. He said, do you think this record gonna work? I say, it's gonna work. It turned out, I took it to Graham Armstrong at WGCI in Chicago, Illinois. And Graham said he wasn't gonna play the record because he wasn't gonna play no more rap records, period.
Why was they so adamant about not playing rap?
Because they didn't want rap records. They wanted the same old stuff. They
Basically,
wasn't.
they
Hip-hop had to fight.
They didn't believe
They didn't believe in it.
They didn't believe what
Rap
it
and
is
hip hop
today.
culture been fighting.
bent
Yeah,
that they want.
they don't fight it no more because that's all that's out here. But there was a time when there was a line between now and then.
Right,
Absolutely.
different.
And he said, I ain't gonna play the record. I said, listen, man, this is gonna be the biggest dance since the Twist and the Charleston. It's gonna be the biggest dance in the world. He said, I don't believe it, man. He said, I'm not gonna play the record. So I took it to WVON to Perfect Span in Chicago. They raked the record bust out huge.
Man,
So we was in Houston, Texas, at the BRE convention, the Black Radio Exclusive convention that was Sidney Miller.
Okay.
We were sitting there, and all of a sudden, Graham walks across the floor, the banquet floor, and walks over me and bend down, and he reached in his back pocket, and he pulled out a Time magazine, and on the front page of Time magazine was a kid breakdancing. He said, I come over here to apologize to you, Poo Poo, because that's the biggest thing in the world, and I could have been first. And I could have been first. He did that. That's the breakdance. That all these things happened to me by fluke because I had to feed this kid.
Right.
Amen.
And it wouldn't make no difference. Whatever I had to do, I had to feed this kid. And he was with me every step of the way until he got to be an adult. Then I went off, and my nephew, I had him promoting records with me.
Right.
He's a boy from Mississippi. Good looking boy. Slick. Mississippi slick. And he was promoting records with me, going around to the clubs and stuff. He gets famous. The girls get to liking him. The boys, all the gangsters, tie up with him trying to get to me.
Right.
I know better than this shit because I done been through this here already. I'm grown. I done been through this here already. He kept on playing around, fooling around, and next thing you know, they shoots him up with heroin. He gets to shooting heroin. Now he's a mainline junkie. Not only that, he done got to be a stick-up man.
Wow.
He gangster. He carry pistols and stuff and all kind of stuff, and he run around with some boys I grew up with was honest to God killers, straight die-hard gangsters. He trying to prove himself to them. He being bolder than they being. Now he's on the front page of the tabloids as a dog, as a mad dog killer. Out of Clip Blue Sky, he's a nice kid, good-looking kid. The girls like him and everything else. I got him on the right track, making money with me with these records and stuff. He's been flipped over. Now he's a murder mad dog dirty. He kills him, Baby Hal, and some more guys. Robs a guy for his dope that I went to school with, who was in the mob in St. Louis, named Jeep. He kills Jeep. They kill Jeep and 5 more people in the house and take their pounds of dope and their money. Now, I'm scared for him. I'm saying, man, listen, the whole town is talking about you. You done stop promoting records and all that stuff. It's in the book.
it is.
Yeah,
It is.
and he
That's why I say
said,
the book
and
has to say-
he said he killed, and you killed Jeep.
Right.
Jeep is a primary underworld character in my hometown back then, back in the day. Everybody liked Jeep. Well, man, he talk that old woof talk. I said, well, listen, he was staying upstairs over my daddy's tavern. He done come from a top flight record promoter and a player to a dogmatic killer, a mad dog killer, and a dope fiend. One day, I broke away from Skip now, the distributor, And I'm upstairs. My daddy opened a tavern called International Hookup under the same name of me and my group and the girls, his mama now. Genius International Hookup that I got from Willie Mitchell. The club called International Hookup. He's staying upstairs over the hookup. A friend of mine, rest in peace, is a Godfather gangster named Arthur Quarles. He helped me pay for my first records, and he helped me work it out with the disc jockeys where they wouldn't dog me out. Because he was a die-hard, real Godfather gangster.
Right.
And he come to me and he said, Petey, he called me Petey, because they used to call me that when I was a kid. He said, Petey, he say, you know your nephew, they got a contract on it. They gonna do something to him, man. Keep him out the way or get him out of town. I'm telling you because we've been friends all these years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just telling you, man, to do something with the boy. I told Robert Earl what he told me. Robert Earl said, oh man, I ain't think about them suckers, whoop-de-whoop, you know. He stayed upstairs about 2 weeks, didn't come out. Then one day, he come down steps, and I said, Robert Earl, did I tell you you need to go back down Mississippi or don't go out in the streets? He said, yeah, well, cuz I do what I want to do. Wolf talk. Him and 3 other guys goes upstairs. I leave and go home. Next thing I know, I get a phone call the next morning. Say you gotta come down to the club. Something bad had happened. They murdered Robert Earl. The 3 dudes that went upstairs with him murdered Robert Earl. They murdered his wife, murdered his brother-in-law, and the baby was laying up under his mother. That they had killed her, and blood was all over the baby. She's laying on top of him like that, stopping them from shooting the baby. The baby must have been 6 months, a year, wasn't it? Something like that, wasn't it?
Maybe a year.
Maybe a year old.
They killed the baby.
No, they didn't kill the baby. They killed everybody in the house. That did it. I told him,
Devastated, huh?
I said, it's in the book.
Right.
I would do it.
It's in the book.
Stomach right there.
It's in the book. Listen, he died. I had to clean the blood up. They had shot his brains out in the hallway. He had ran to the door, to the back door, trying to jump out, and they had pulled the doorknob off. The doorknob was still in his hand. And when they had killed him, and trying to jump out the back door, and he had his guns. He had a machine gun on top of the fireplace. He never could get to it. The boys that went upstairs with him to party with him with the dope, that's who took the contract.
They set him up. It's always
Set him up
someone close
and
to
killed
you.
him. That's when I decided that I've got to leave his town.
Yeah.
So I left Pete with my mama,
Mm-hmm.
and I left town, and I came out here, and I got with Red Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and I co-started a show with Red Fox. It was in '85.
Okay.
It was called Fox Live '85 at the Hacienda Hotel. I co-started the show with Red Fox.
And were you still doing jazz? Or had
No,
you-
I'm
you
doing
switched
show
over?
too. I'm doing cabaret.
Okay.
I'm doing cabaret now.
Okay.
And I stayed with Red Fox until he died.
Mm.
And after he died, I did motion pictures with Red Fox. I did TV shows with Red Fox. I did stage shows with Red Fox. Everybody thought Red was my daddy. Me and Red was just that time. Pete came out there and stayed with us. Red loved Pete. Red loved Pete. And next thing I knew, Red died. That left me off on my own.
Right.
And off on my own, Sugar Hill blew up to be one of the biggest companies in America.
It was a different name before.
They was Turbo.
Yeah.
They was Turbo, but they couldn't sell no records under Turbo. They couldn't sell no records. They had Trouble Funk,
Exactly.
and they couldn't sell no records on them. The
That's
Sugar
all
Hill-
in the book.
They also was all platinum records.
Tag it in there.
They was also all platinum records, and they had a group
Great
called
storyline, great
The Moments.
Right.
And the Moments, they was in litigation because of the money discrepancy. And the Moments end up Ray Goodman and Brown. And they let the company go, and they went through the transition and came up with Sugar Hill, which I explained that all.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot in this book. We don't want you to explain the whole book, do we?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I know we can, but we want them to be excited too, because
yeah.
there's a lot in there, man. I'm telling you, man, it's so much history. Based on the 50th anniversary right now of hip hop, we know that you deserve to be tribute for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So I know you know that me and your son and Miss Jamila and Prince Raheem and a lot of partners of ours, we're putting the 80s and 90s Vibe Concert Live together in tribute to you and the fallen artists of that time as well. You know, we love everything you do. All this coincides with what's going on. It makes it real. It makes it worth it. You know what I mean? Like, why give, you know, the 50th anniversary of hip hop, you know, something other than the inventor of it? You know, why not? You know, we want to bring that vibe back to you. We want everybody to see what it
Well,
feels
you know
like.
what?
Salute a
God,
pioneer.
you know, God
There we go.
had everything to do with everything that happened.
Absolutely.
That's right.
And it ain't just some religious hocus pocus.
Right.
I've been a recipient of God's blessing several different ways, several different times. I've even had a cardiac arrest where I flatlined out and died and came back and did 2 shows 3 days later.
Man, you
That's
all
still
good.
on YouTube.
Man,
But
entertainment
let
is
me
you.
tell you something, man. I know what God can do. I know what God can do. And He's done a lot for me, and He made sure that I survived it and went on forward. I've had so many blessings. Listen, I ain't always been a heroic equation in this thing called life, because I had a lot of stumbles and a lot of downfalls that I was a victim of before I found myself.
Right.
Because I lived a very, very fast life. And I thought that a lot of things that I did was necessary to do. And some of them were, and some of them were just egotistical endeavors. And like when Red Fox died, I was lost and turned out.
Right.
That was my only out. I done come from being a star 2 or 3 different times, and I then did everything, and I went to the tip of the iceberg with Red Fox. I co-started the show with him at the Hacienda Hotel for 7 years. I lived in the penthouse for 7 years at the Hacienda Hotel. I rode number limousines. I had a pair of shoes I had a year, and the bottoms never got dirty. I did like that.
That bent right there that I ain't even put them touch the ground.
And did it like
That's doing
that.
something big now.
But I end up in Hollywood in the game,
Right.
street game. I end up, me, Rick James, Ike Turner, Sly Stone, Charlie Wilson, we all hung out together every day.
Right.
We all
Oh, icon.
was dope fiends.
What?
We all end up smoking that crack like it was the thing to do. I mean, like when we was down to a half an ounce of dope, we was running out. We wasn't just getting it, we was running out. We fooled around there and rode Hollywood all the way out. and what happened was we all end up going to the penitentiary the same time.
Wow.
Ike went, no, No.
That's classic.
Rick James went first.
Interesting.
You ain't gonna hear
Ike
these stories.
Turner went next. Sly Stone went a long time when Ike went. Charlie Wilson went to Ackland rehab. They was finna send him to penitentiary. He went to Wayside a bunch of times with his brother Robert. I went to Wayside Penitentiary. I wanted to go where Rick James was, so I'd have someplace to be with somebody I knew. I went to Rick James and Ike Turner.
Right.
I went to CMC, I went to CRC, but I with Ike in the Simple Commitment. And Ed Townsend, the dude that wrote Let's Get It On, he was in there with us too.
Wow.
We all went to, they swept the streets clean in one big swoop.
That's all that
I was
good
in,
music came
listen,
from, boy.
anyway,
So that was a big shift going into how.
yeah, from being a superstar, all of us, to just a number in jail.
Half the billboard.
So my mama died while I was in the penitentiary. My grandmother died while I was in the penitentiary. My Aunt Bessie, who I loved to death, she died when I was in the penitentiary. Red Fox died when I was in the penitentiary. Slappy White died when I was in the penitentiary. Sammy Davis Jr. died when I was in the penitentiary. And all of them died within that little small period of time that I was in the penitentiary. Them the only people that loved me.
Wow.
Now I'm tripping. I'm tripping. The next thing I know, that they mistreated me and put me in the hole.
How long was you in the penitentiary?
I was in there for 15, 16 months.
So all of that happened in 16
In
months?
16 months.
Oh my God.
In 16 months.
And you had to go to the hole?
And they sent me to the hole. I'm in the hole with a boy who was a serial killer. He done killed about 12 people. Just as lunatic as he could be. But I was just as stupid as he was, so we could get along.
Right.
He showed me something called the Boom Soccer Rocker. You been up to the Boom Soccer Rocker?
So what's the Boom Soccer
Listen,
Rocker?
the Boom Soccer Rocker, you have to play that in front of the judge. You can't play that in front of the police. You got to do it in front of the judge.
Okay.
What you do, you get there in front of the judge, and all of a sudden, you say, oh, you go crazy, and you fall on the floor and you start kicking. Oh, they trying to kill me in here. Oh, you don't never stop until they pick you up on the arms and take you out kicking.
That's right.
Wow.
That's called the Boom Soccer Rock.
Act the fool.
He said, go in there and play the Boom Soccer Rocker, and you can go to the psych ward, and you can get out of your case.
Yeah, that's when it get light on you.
Yeah, they he's crazy. So
So did you do it?
no.
Okay.
I gave him, listen, he did it so long, I said, okay man, that's cool. He's still doing it. I said, hey man, that's okay. He's still doing it. The guards come in, wanting to do me, thinking I done did something to him. I said, Lord have mercy. I said, Jesus, if you let me out of this, I ain't gonna never do wrong no more. I'm gonna quit everything.
Man,
I'm gonna quit everything.
man.
They let me out of jail. I wrote, while I was in jail, me and Rick James came to a pact because we slept across from each other. He said, we're going to do something with this time.
Right.
He wrote his book and he wrote some songs. The book that he put out before he died.
Right.
I wrote 8 books, 6 children's stories, 51 songs. I didn't spend a minute doing nothing but trying to prepare myself for when and if I ever get out of this, I will straighten my life up. That's been 30 years ago.
Hey, man.
You've been music ever since.
I ain't did nothing. I got off of dope, I got off of drugs, I got off of whiskey, I got off of hoeing around, I got off of everything.
Right, right.
Cold turkey.
And just straight dropped it, and my career took off, and I rose, I got with George Clinton.
Right.
George Clinton, I was pimping in Hollywood. And I was doing my thing because I wasn't on no drugs.
Right.
I wasn't on no dope, no nothing. I done forgot about singing. All I'm trying to do is just get money and doing my thing. I bought a red Cadillac. A girl bought me, named Simone Hurst, bought me a red Cadillac, a spank brand new red Cadillac. I'm riding down the street. I saw George Clinton coming from out of North Hollywood in a car with Archie Ivy, who's been his manager since day one. He said, Poo Poo, what's up? I said, where you going? I said, I ain't going nowhere, man. He said, I'm going to ride with you. I said, get in the car. We get to ride in the car, and he knew, everybody knew I went to prison. There ain't no secret.
Right, right.
That's why I'm revealing it right now. It's a testimony. It ain't nothing bad. It's what it took to straighten my act up. Because I thought that I could get away with murder.
Right.
And murder was following me. You know what I'm saying? So I put out an album, and I did a TV show. The penitentiary calls me up and say, Mr. Anderson, could you please come back to the penitentiary and show the boys in the penitentiary that you can make it after you get out of the penitentiary? I said, I ain't never coming back there no more. For no reason in the world. I ain't coming back there no more. No nothing.
You said I ain't going back.
So anyway, I got with George Clinton. We went to San Francisco.
Right.
We jumped in my car, went to San Francisco, did our first show together. I looked at the show. I say, this show is missing something. Because they didn't have the mothership no more. They didn't have the dogs, and they didn't have all that shit that they used to have. They was just barely making it. And I said, listen, I said, George, I know what the show needs. He said, well, you show us what it needs. Then we went to Phoenix, Arizona. We were still in my car.
That's right.
And he said, we went back to Hollywood, North Hollywood, and we got with Warren G. You know Warren G?
Absolutely.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Regulated.
Just
That's
listen.
our guy.
Warren G. We went to the studio with Warren G.
213.
And we cut some records with Warren G.
Wow.
Him and that boy, he sings real high. No, he sings real high. I just saw him too.
Cocaine?
No. Them boys wasn't even getting it on that good. They was over in Long Beach. They was over in Long Beach in that record shop.
Okay.
They was in that record shop. Yeah, VIP. They was over in the VIP trying to get started.
Right.
Snoop was just about getting started. My friend Aubrey Taylor got them started. He got Suge Knight and all them started.
Okay.
So, next thing I knew, Warren G said, you need to get with Snoop, because he's hanging out with Don Juan now.
Right.
He said, you need to be with Snoop. Yeah, that's my man.
Bishop.
Yeah, that's my man. That's my man.
Right.
So he said, you need to be over there with him, because he could get you on, Poo Poo. I didn't even go over there at that time. And so Warren G had us to cut some records with him. The records did real good. Warren G took me by the hand and introduced me to all of the Dog Pound boys.
Right.
Cocaine and
Jazz.
all them boys. I knew all them boys.
Nate
Dogg, me and him was really tight before he died. And so
Big
the
Pimp.
next thing I knew, Big Pimpin' wasn't over there.
He
with
wasn't
them.
over there?
No, he wasn't over there with them. And I didn't see him, put it that way. Cause I was promoting records over there, of my records, over there at the VIP, cause they was cool with me, all the VIP, the people that owned the joint. And the next thing I knew, I got on the bus with George. And I rode the bus before I knew it, 5 years passed, 10 years passed. I came up with an act called James Brown, Tell Me How Long You Been Getting Down. In the P-Funk, cause everybody revered James Brown.
Right.
And the act took off so big that we started getting back. We went to northern France with Maceo Parker and Fred Wesley, the horns to James Brown.
Yeah.
Because they used to be with P-Funk. And we did a gig with them. And in the act, I had a call and answer thing. You say poo, you say poo poo, you say man, that kind of shit. And it was 780,000 people.
Wow.
That's almost 1 million people that was in the audience.
780,000 people in the audience.
780.
Who's doing shows like that now?
But this was over in France. They do them like that.
Wow.
This is in northern France. It was so loud that they was calling my name that it was deafening. And this went on for I don't know how long. We did this in Paris, London, Rome, Italy, New Mexico. We did it in Mississippi. We did it in Madagascar. We did it in New Zealand. We did it in Australia. We did it around the world. Moscow, Russia. Putin came to see us.
Wow.
Putin.
Yeah, Putin came to see us. I'm saying we did it around the world for 5 or 6 or 7 years. So my name became synonymous with P-Funk through that act.
Right.
And this went on for years and years and years. And it went on in such a way that people wanted to see me. And I had made that group come up with something new, because I came up with a new act. It's on YouTube. You can find it. It's P-Funk, Poo Poo Man in Houston.
Right.
You can find it all over the YouTube. And it gave me the motivation to want to stay clean and to want to help somebody else.
Right.
Because he had helped me. In the meantime, all my acts that I had nurtured and got stuff, then became icons. Here it is, Grandmaster Flash is a hero. He was the one that started scratching records.
Right.
He started scratching records. He had a record called The Wheels of Steel. They sent the record back to me because they thought the record was broke. Because he was scratching. And they thought the record was broke. And the disc jockey sent the record back to me and said, man, the record is scratched up.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's called The Wheels of Steel.
Wow.
All the groups, Melly Mel could become an icon with the message in white lines. And Curtis Blow became a legend. Soul Sonic Force became a legend. Von Mason, he died lately. He became a legend. All the acts that I started became legendary. And they all still know me and all still praise me as being the one that got them started in this business. And so, if it wasn't for Jesus, none of it would have happened.
Absolutely.
The good and the bad wouldn't have happened. And I've been able to accelerate my career to a whole nother level. Now I done fool around here and I got my son. He ain't never wanted to sing. He ain't never wanted to dance. He ain't never wanted to do none of this stuff. And I just live with this guy and say, Pops, I'm ready. And he's great. My godson over there, he's been the knucklehead of all knuckleheads that ever lived. But he finally came through. He can rap so good that you tell him to turn it off.
Hey.
He is a die-hard genius. And this is my future. This is my future. We in a play now called Razzle Dazzle with Dwayne Anderson. Great play. Pete ended up one of the stars, first time out the box. He ended up one of the stars in the show. He ended up one of the feature actors in the show. My nephew, my godson over here, he gonna be bigger than Tupac. He that good. He's that good. As soon as he
That's a lot to say.
get his mind on straight and listen.
Okay.
Cause geniuses,
that's a big shoe to
basically,
fill.
geniuses basically don't listen.
Absolutely.
They tell.
It's good to do that.
Absolutely.
You know
So
what
I
I'm
want to make
saying?
sure that before we
We got
close
like
out,
20 minutes, guys.
before we close out our interview, that we talk a little bit more about King.
King is my boy. I got him from Floyd Mayweather.
Okay.
He was Floyd Mayweather's assistant.
Okay.
King can rap, can sing, can drive, can do everything. He can do everything in spades. Entrepreneur, he can do it all. He got podcasts, he got everything. He got everything but $1 million, and I'm gonna have him get that.
Let's get it.
He's my right hand man.
Okay.
I don't do nothing without King. That's why he always is straightening up shit. He's straightening up and straightening up. Don't straighten up me no more.
Right.
But he's my man. You know what I'm saying? And his little baby over there, that's my goddaughter. I takes her to the store and said, get all your arms can carry.
Hey.
Get all you can take. Take it and come on, let's go. I ain't got all day.
Okay.
You know, and like a cowboy. Cowboy just popped up in our life out of the clear blue sky, and we can't live without it.
Absolutely.
And he been talking about you and your
He the
podcast. And you
That's
talking about
dream right there.
you and your podcast for the longest. You know, and I want to be able to say that I appreciate you concerning yourself with us
Absolutely.
and what we trying to do. And you're gonna hear a lot more from me. I'm still growing. You know, I'm 100 years old, but that's okay. I'm still growing.
Oh, don't worry, I'm gonna come to the crib. I wanna know how to pull a pistol out.
Always. Now listen.
I wanna know how to
Listen,
slip without sitting.
I got pictures. My favorite picture.
Trust me, I got a whole
My favorite
bunch of
picture
them.
in my house is a picture I took with Duke Ellington.
Wow. I would love to see that picture.
It's in my book. It's in my book. It's in my book, the picture. But that's my favorite picture in my house.
Hey Jay,
With Duke Ellington.
you want to speak about this event we working on?
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
And
you speak on it.
I want to make sure before we get to the event that we talk a little bit about you.
Yeah.
And
Because we got like.
I really want to
30
know
minutes.
just overall what you're doing and what's the driving force for you want to do what you do now. Is it because you seen your dad, you want to pick up the legacy? Like, when did it click for you that I need to do this music?
Well, actually, my thing was dancing
Okay.
at first, you know. I used to watch these old movies when I was a kid, and I would see these flash dance acts like the Nicholas Brothers, the Berry Brothers, or
Okay.
Pops and Louie, and so on and so forth, you know. And, you know, it just really interested me because I used to do gymnastics and stuff and see them do their splits and flips and all of that stuff, you know. And really what happened one day, I was in my room and Pops, he was in the bathroom, and they used to have this show called Dance Fever or something
Yep.
like that. And they had a group on there called Silvers.
Okay.
And I was watching them. You remember the Silvers?
No.
Yeah, I know.
Remember they had Boogie Fever?
I remember Boogie Fever.
And stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Around in that era.
Yeah, and so I was watching them do their thing. So when they got through, I was going to the kitchen, and to get to the kitchen, you have to pass across the bathroom, you know.
Right.
And I see my dad in the bathroom, and we didn't got to talking. And I said, Pop, when you was a kid, they didn't have any kid groups, did they? And he said, yeah, they did. So he told me about Frankie Lyman and the
Yeah.
teenagers and stuff like that, you know, and stuff. Then he got to telling me about him doing talent shows, doing his shows and stuff like that, you know. And you know, the more that you hear stuff that you like, maybe the more and more that you want to know
Right.
about it and stuff like that, you know. So, you know,
Did that inspire you more to want to take that field?
Well-
I mean, or that's just a part of what you know, felt in the inside that you already have been to be about you know, your father's legacy in that?
Well, I really didn't take a whole lot of interest into it too much. You know, I was a take it or leave it thing.
Right.
You know, then when I got into high school and I got accepted to visual performing arts, you know, I went there just, you know, to me it was just another school to go to.
Right.
Then so I just entered the dance class, you know, because there was a lot of girls in there.
Right.
You know, and I entered in there just to be around the girls and stuff. But then I actually started paying attention to what the teacher was saying and doing, you know. So
And you start making it make sense.
yeah, it started making it make sense and stuff, you know. Then I started to notice something too. I was the only guy in that dance class. Then after 3-4 months, the next thing I know, more guys started joining in the class and everything,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
So,
Man, what was it like? It seemed like all these icons, your father was around. It seemed like, you know, it didn't take that big, ooh, wow, ooh, you know, like most people would be like, how was it like for you when you ran into like Michael Jackson and you met them before, right? Jackson 5, I seen pictures in the book.
well, I'll tell you this much. I'll tell you
Or
this much. If like,
James
okay,
Brown's in there. You know,
It's
what was it
like-
like for you?
well, really to be truthful about it, if you've been around something all of your life,
Come
you
on
know
now,
what I
it's
mean?
lonely.
You know, it's really, you know, like,
It's normal.
it's just like a normal thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know.
Now to us, it ain't normal. Like, wow, man, those guys, y'all really was around them before they became icons and legends to this world. Like your father is already a legend. That's beautiful as it is. And but you know, you're a son and you're able to be around that. Man, that's.
I mean,
people
I
would
don't,
die
I don't
to
take, I
have
don't, I
your
don't take
life.
things for
Right.
granted or
Right.
anything
Very
like
humble.
that, you know. But you know, it's just like I'm saying, you know, if you've been around it, you know, you'll come to find out that they
Just
normal people too, just like everybody
Right.
else.
That's
You know
what
what I
I'm
mean?
saying.
And what they doing is just basically a job.
come on with it, man.
You know, it's just a job what they're doing. You know.
So we're fast forwarding. We're on this 50 years of hip hop this year, which is amazing. And the reason for our tribute is because you've been there since the beginning. And it's not a lot of people that have been there since the beginning. You received that first record that kicked all of this off. That's power. So, you know, a lot of people they're really tributing 50 years, this person, that person. And then we talked and I said, well, why not tribute who touched the first record? That's amazing, you know. So talk a little bit about the event from your eyes, because you called me about it. And
Right. So yeah, I'm gonna make this quick because you know I'm a visionary, and I was talking to Prince Raheem. I'm down in Florida, you know, dealing with my father's funeral. He passed not too long ago. And yeah, so my god brother, he's an artist and stuff. So we was sitting there talking, and then he had Prince Raheem on the phone. You know, everybody loved Prince Raheem back in Florida, man, because he bring that real, you know, that get down music, you know, that Uncle Luke music, you know what I'm saying? And it was about fun and high school. We would start talking about what the guy Young and the Restless had in mind on bringing back a big event where bringing back the 80s and the 90s vibe and how we used to live then to where we live it now, and what the concept was then to how the concept deterred to something so irrational now. And we was like, man, let's just put a show together, man, and let's see how many, you know, artists we can get, and see how, you know, with all this resource we have, let's just put the team together, find people, you know, that we know. We're a part of the entertainment, we're part of all this build up, so we just started going out. It's like stepping out with a scratch of faith. You know, so we seen that it was working, and we seen that it was building. So one hand went to the next hand, and then it got to the next hand. Then the production team, then the filming, then the entertainment, then the artists, then the hosts and the actors. They all just started coming in on board, and this where I got to Miss J. You know what I'm saying? Hype Magazine, another entertainer. You know what I'm saying, a part of the world of entertainment, introduced me to her, and we built a relationship here, and it got me to you. And we built a relationship, and then it just makes sense to what we're really doing is we're giving this tribute back to where it started. And I say, well, let's bring it to Mr. Gene Poo Poo Man Anderson. Because he pushed these records. He broke these records. He went out there. He made sure that hip-hop became hip-hop.
The true hip-hop hustler. He hustled hip-hop on the streets.
It's
like
the godfather
he
of
had to
hip-hop.
put it out there to
man.
put it in
And
everybody's
so,
flavor,
why
in
not?
the face.
And to have a relationship with, I see he's a realist. You know, I'm a realist, you know what I'm saying, in everything that I try to do and everything that I do, you know what I mean, I'm gonna be real about it. If I'm going the wrong way, you tell me, then I'm gonna turn them and go the right way. Ain't nobody perfect. But at the end of the day, I want the best for everybody in this situation, man. I want all of us to succeed. I don't want nobody to be looking down on one another, you know, he's big, I'm small. No, man, I want us to enjoy life, man. I want us to make some real good, you know what I'm saying, decisions in life and make some real good money. Let's keep it real.
As one.
You know what I
And
mean?
we're taking it a step further too,
Yeah.
with the collaboration with the Hype magazine and, you know, Lou's company to really put a timeline and a stamp on the real hip hop history. You know, because there's gaps. There's a lot of gaps missing. But of course it is, because everyone hasn't told their story from their perspective. So this is really a big deal for us to sit down and talk with you today, because it's going to fill in some holes. You know, so for the kids that are out repping hip hop now, they don't know where it started all the way from every perspective. So this was needed today.
This is very much needed. I mean, like, it wasn't about that then. And when I was talking to your son, I tell you, you know what, ain't no reason to just have your father doing a tribute, man. Just come on and get in with a partnership with us, man. And let's talk about some things, and let's deal with the team as the team. Because we're dealing with a bunch of leaders. Everybody has their own platform. It's not no, I'm a boss, you're a boss. Forget the boss word, we're leaders. And leaders are leading leaders to a better place and a better stable in our life. You know what I mean? And putting a show like this together is historical. And it should be presented properly and very much on a high scale that everyone is taking it as all over the world. 50th year anniversary of hip hop. That's not just here in our country, that's all over.
Right.
So it should be presented on a bigger platform and represented on a bigger platform and given the proper education of it as it needed.
And,
You know what I'm saying?
and add on that
Right.
it's changed quite a bit since we start talking. It's
Mhm.
now it's an ongoing series. It's not going to stop,
It's not.
because this is going to offer the opportunity for those who have kind of been left behind or put in the shadows. It's going to bring them to the forefront again, give them jobs and opportunities. So it's not something that's just going to happen this one time because it's 50 years of hip hop. We're creating a platform for all of the older artists to have a stage. So.
Well, I tell you one thing, in December 22nd, all right, we got Florida on lock at the amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
We got them on lock, and to do something big on that platform with the scream and everything, that's gonna be great. Now, where we at right now, you know, we're building, we're there, but we're not all the way there on the finish of the build up for this event. But we have over 20 LOIs with the artists. We have actors like Vivica Fox, Miguel Nunez as a host. You know, we have things built up, and we have a platform that, you know, that really sets the mark for what we got going on. And it's going to be like the ending of what the 50th anniversary, you know, it's like the top off. Like we're the topping of it because we're doing it on a bigger scale. And we're going to give everybody their proper due justice in a Presidente style and form. You know what I mean? And to have that tribute and to have you to be up there as just in living colors, man, this is a blessing to even have the godfather of hip hop still alive, still moving,
Amen.
still grooving. You see what I'm saying? And vicious and every other way you could call it. he is the man. And we put some respect on his name when we say it. And all the other actors out here, all the other artists, put some respect on Mr. G's name. Y'all come forth and y'all just let it be known that, yeah, what he's saying is the truth. Back us up, back him up, back this family up. Let's get money. Let's make this legacy happen.
So
You know what I'm saying?
final words.
Yeah.
Any final words from you?
Yeah, you can receive my book easily.
Go
Well,
to
we can
Amazon.
All you gotta do is just to Google up starting with THE, GeneAndersonStory.com. And you can find it on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.
All right.
And it's called The Birth of Hip Hop. It started with a word say a hippity hop. That was from Wonder Mike.
Hip hop and you don't stop. The
That's
rock
what-
attack, bang bang.
That's why I understand that the
jump
word
the
got
boogie.
famous.
Right.
Hip
To
hop.
the rhythm of the boogity beat.
So
Yeah.
that was it. And I can say we've been on. But now we're gone.
Now we're gone.
We go.
And we
All right,
salute
guys.
you, your sacrifice, commitment,
Thank you guys.
and everything you've done for hip hop, OG. And the fact that that's my dog.
Wow.
All
Thank
right.
you guys, man. That
Big
was
man,
perfect.
big
That was
money.
beautiful.
That was a long
That was
podcast.
good,
I
man.
got to
Good,
go.
man.
My baby getting unrestless.
It's all good.
You gotta go to the bathroom, 90.
We on the break?
You good now?
Okay.
You just over there being frustrated.
Man.
But you
Hey,
okay, Daddy.
hey, look at you. You know she like a little Lauryn Hill.
Go on. Now she got that spirit. That's my baby right
Yeah, that
there.
look like a little Lauryn Hill. Got that strong.
Yeah. Cultural queen.
Hey, Lamont,
That's what I'm trying to raise you to be.
I was at a
Lauryn Hill, not a
podcast.
Beyonce. You feel
I
me?
had to, I couldn't answer the phone.
Can we take one of these? Can I take your
Of
card?
course, of course.